Just let everybody know that you do not care about this area. So
Can you call the police?
It's a public space.
I don't care, but you are harassing me.
No.
First of all, the taxpayers pay her a very large salary to have policy positions on certain matters. You would think that such a minister with her portfolio and being a former Minister for Environment would have a strong position. Instead, what we saw was about 5 minutes of incoherent babble and conspiratorial claims about the Freedom Party and American gun laws.
What is your position?
You support the carrying of handguns.
What is your position on the Northern Incinerator?
And putting families at risk.
Over the weekend, the Victorian Minister for Climate Action, Lily D'Ambrosio, invited the public to chat at her local shopping centre pop-up office. An offer former Liberal MP Aidan McLindon, who is currently running as an independent in the local council election, couldn't refuse. McLindon, who also has previously run in an election for the Freedom Party, decided to take the opportunity to question the Minister for Climate Action about her party's position on the proposed local incinerator to burn rubbish, which, due to its potential environmental consequences, I imagine is part of her portfolio. But watch what happened when he approached her.
Now, we pay you very well to have a position on the Northern Incinerator.
No,
So what is your position on it? Because we haven't heard anything. And we'll be posting this to the community in fairness.
Yeah, good on you.
So we pay you well, and we pay you to have a position on it.
Well,
so that's fair enough.
If you let people know that you're a member of the Freedom Party.
They all know. I'm not anymore.
I don't think so.
I'm not anymore.
You are.
I'm talking about the Northern Incinerator.
You're a member of the Freedom Party. You know what the Freedom Party's
Jobs, homes and families?
Do you know what the Freedom Party's policies were?
So you're for or
in
against?
2022.
So you're for or against
Do you know
Northern
what the Freedom
Incinerator?
Party's... Do you know what the Freedom Party's
I'm talking about the Northern
policy
Incinerator.
was that you agreed with? That people could carry handguns
No.
down the streets.
No,
that is on
no.
the Freedom Party website.
I'm not a Freedom Party member.
And you are a Freedom Party member. You joined in 2022.
Yeah.
You joined in 2022 when the Freedom Party's policy at the
So you're for or against? Are you
state
for or
election
against the
was
Northern
to
Incinerator?
have American gun laws in Australia.
No.
That's right. I think you should be honest with the community.
No, I'm not a member of the... I am being honest. I'm independent.
Well, are you?
So what's your... Yes.
I don't think so.
I am.
You were a member.
I'm telling you now.
Well,
I was a member, yeah.
You are a member of the Freedom Party.
Yep. So you're for or against the... Are you for or against the Northern Incinerator?
Do you still support people carrying guns down the street?
We are paying you very well to make a position.
Do you still support...
You don't have a
I'm
position.
going to keep saying this to you.
I know you do, because you know why? Because you're not... You do not have a position.
Because you're...
Right.
Because you...
I'll let you know what my position
I'd
is.
like to...
There you
No,
go.
I'll tell you what...
There you go. There's my position, Lily.
Yeah,
there you go.
Your position...
There you go. There's
your
my position.
Your
Everybody?
position is that you are
I am
carrying
standing
guns...
against the Northern
That you support the
Incinerator.
carrying of handguns down people's streets.
What has a local election got to do with guns?
Oh, so do you support...
No,
still support
I
carrying?
don't.
Yes, well, you did because you were a member of the Freedom Party in 2022.
Okay, so I've told you my position. My position's no. What's your position?
State election, when they went to
What
the
is your
state
position?
election, when you went to the state election...
Another Labor candidate.
As a member of the Freedom Party...
So, Imran, do you have a position?
As a member of the Freedom
Party...
Party...
Don't touch me.
As a member of the Freedom Party...
Don't touch me, please. It's a public
As a member of the
space.
Freedom Party, that to carry guns...
So neither of you, the Labor Party has no position.
To carry guns down
No position.
So you have a
The Labor Party has no position on the Northern Incinerator proposal.
As a member of the Freedom
Just
Party,
going around in
to carry
circles, Lily.
guns...
Lily, we pay you well to make it...
You tell people that you
Do you have a
support...
Is
You
this a-
support... These are the facts.
What is your
that
position?
You support the carrying of handguns...
What is your position on the
down
Northern
streets
Incinerator?
And putting families at risk.
Wow.
You support US...
So we're just paying you
support
hundreds of thousands of dollars
US,
to have no
you
position on
support-
anything.
You support...
This is the
US
problem. This is
gun
why you have to
laws.
put Labor Party
You
last, people.
support- You support...
Because they've taken Whittlesea City for granted.
Really? So you're now
The
admitting-
Northern Incinerator is being pushed through by the Labor
you
Party. They have no
support-
position.
You've just admitted
And
that
the
you
local
support-
candidate and the
you've
state
just
member
admitted-
have
you've
absolutely
just
no
admitted-
idea of where they
you've
stand
just
on the Northern
admitted-
Incinerator. No, I
You've
haven't.
just admitted that you support people being able to carry handguns
that how you
down
talk-
the
you're
street
you're not
because
talking-
that
what
is
the
what the
heck?
Freedom Party's policy is.
I'm not a member of the Freedom Party.
You are a member of the Freedom
No, I'm not.
Party and you're not
I haven't
being
been for
honest
2
with
years.
people.
I am.
You joined in
I'm
2022.
independent. Yeah.
You backed...
I'm a former
your
member
own
of
policy.
Parliament.
So do you back people carrying handguns down the street?
Is this all you've got?
American gun laws.
Everybody, this is
you
what
wanna
we've
bring
elected.
to
She's talking
Victoria.
about American gun laws when
That's
I'm
what you
asking her
supported.
about the
That you
Northern
supported.
Incinerator,
I tell the
which is
facts.
going to
I
completely
tell the
harm
facts.
our residents.
I tell the
Yes or
facts.
no, Lily?
I tell
Do you
the facts
support the
that you
Northern Incinerator?
supported
Yes or no?
Gun laws.
Yes or no?
American gun laws.
This is
walking
unbelievable.
down the
So I
street.
can't get a yes or no in 5 minutes of
I'm not
interviewing
going to
you.
engage with you.
Of course
because
you're
your
not.
only purpose
No,
is
to get
stir-
a position from
No,
you for the
no,
community.
I am here here.
You have
talking
failed the
members
people of Whittlesea
All right,
City.
you can
You have
carry on
no
and be
position
silly.
on the Northern Incinerator.
You can be
You locked
silly.
people unnecessarily. You have
Now the truth
100%,
comes out
yeah.
about who you're supporting.
100%.
You support gun laws.
The majority of
people
the
down
people.
street,
No,
keeping
the
people
majority of
unsafe.
people.
That's what you support.
With the longest lockdown in the world, and you supported Dan Andrews all the way. You completely destroyed the fabric of our community. You still have no position, which we know it is, on the Northern Incinerator, and all you want to talk is about American gun laws, which is quite bizarre.
Which is what
Lily,
you have just
let everybody know. You have just let everybody know that you do not care about this area. So if
Can you call the police?
it's a public space.
I don't care. But
So
you
you
are
want-
harassing
so you
me.
want- no, I'm
you
actually-
are harassing me.
You said come down and have a
support-
chat. Come down and have a
Well,
chat,
you-
and I want to see what your position is on the Northern Incinerator, one of the most important community issues, and you can't answer it.
You are harassing.
So I
You are
asked you.
harassing
So I
and
asked you for a
bullying. Is this
position,
why you
and they want to
supported
call the police.
American-style gun
Okay.
laws, where people can walk down the street.
we go.
Where people can walk
So we
down the
got-
street and carry guns.
Put Labour last,
Where
everybody. They have
people
completely
can
neglected our
walk down
community.
the street and carry guns.
Thanks,
you
Lily.
were a member of the
That's
Freedom
fine.
Party.
Thanks for having no
supporting
position. You can call the police
people
now.
wearing-
No worries. Bye bye.
Carrying pistols and guns down the street and making
She's still
families
following-
unsafe.
Bizarre stuff. Firstly, refusing to answer a simple question that she should be all over as the Minister for Climate Action, then to following McClendon after instructing her staff to call police because he was somehow harassing her. She must have been so scared. To finally her obsession with the Freedom Party and their alleged gun policy, even though he was an elected MP for the Liberal Party for a lot longer than he was a member of the Freedom Party. So joining us now for his reaction and I guess right of reply, President of the Freedom Party, Morgan Jonas. Thanks for joining us. What do you make of this?
Yeah, well, I think what we witnessed was a most bizarre response there from Lily D'Ambrosio, the Minister for Climate Action, when asked a very basic question about her position regarding the proposal for the construction of an incinerator right there in the northern suburbs of Melbourne. You would think that such a minister with her portfolio and being a former Minister for Environment would have a strong position. Instead, what we saw was about 5 minutes of incoherent babble and conspiratorial claims about the Freedom Party and American gun laws. So I think the average Victorian who viewed that footage, Avi, would agree that at minimum it was most bizarre.
So let's go through some of the claims there. So even though it is bizarre to me looking at it, you're being asked something about local issues in your local election, you know, something that the local constituents would want to know. And your automatic response is to attack the person asking it, claiming he's a member, a secret member of the Freedom Party. Is he a member of the Freedom Party?
No, well, clearly Lily has not engaged in her research or done her homework. Aidan McClendon was a member of the Freedom Party. He ran for the district of Mulgrave and shortly after the 2022 state election resigned from the party. So it looks like Lily has clearly gotten her wires crossed on this one, Avi.
So he's not a member of the party. And what are your positions on gun laws? Although, you know, personally, I think that a lot of people in Australia one day are going to be regretting the fact that we don't have any protections for the right to self-defense in Australia. But, you know, that was her 5-minute rant, was about, for some reason, the gun laws in the United States and tying them to the Freedom Party. What is the Freedom Party's actual position?
Yeah, well, I'm glad that you brought it up, Avi. So we had a range of different policy platforms leading into the 2022 election, and firearms were indeed one of the topics at hand. Now, mostly our position was in relation to the protection for farmers in their capability to manage their land and looking at winding back the red tape involved in acquiring semi-automatics. We also spoke about the LRD, that's the License and Regulation Division for Firearms, and the need for some separation of powers regarding that particular department. And in relation to self-defense, we were speaking about a special category for that particular matter, but not as the Minister for Climate Action described with, quote, just any old person walking down the street waving a gun around. That's absolutely not what we were talking about. We were speaking about policies not dissimilar to countries to the likes of Poland, Hungary, the Czech Republic, Estonia, which all have provisions and are very well regulated policies for the use of firearms in the instances of self-defense. So where applicants would be required to go through extensive background checks, an assessment on one's character, both theoretical and practical examinations in order to ensure that firearms do not end up in the hands of violent people, which is unfortunately, Avi, exactly what we're seeing here in Melbourne right now with the proliferation of firearms on the black market. And the only people who have access to these firearms are, of course, those who break the law.
What's your response to the minister's, what I can only describe as an unhinged rant? What would you say to her?
Well, I have a few responses for Lily there. First of all, the taxpayers pay her a very large salary, RV, several hundreds of thousands of dollars, to have policy positions on certain matters, and particularly in relation to this incinerator and being the so-called Minister for Climate Action, I think it's despicable that she wasn't able to answer a simple question. Furthermore, to that point, I would argue that the Minister implied that lawful firearm ownership and homicide are not independent variables. Now, I would put forward that holding such a position is either intellectually dishonest or naive. And equating the Freedom Party policy to, quote, American gun laws, quite frankly, is nonsensical. In the United States, there are a lot of states and laws vary greatly between states. And now, not to go down a different topic altogether, but if one was to look at homicide and firearms legislation throughout America and to compare the Republican states and the Democrat states, it would be an impossibility to draw any type of positive causation between the two variables just mentioned. So I think she's unfortunately coming from a place of defensiveness. I believe that she is not authorised to speak on the topic of incinerators. She perhaps does not know what the Labor Party's position is. So instead of addressing a very real question that is concerning many of the residents in that particular area, she decided to deflect. And as you saw, Avi proceeded to engage in a 5-minute rant composed of, as I mentioned before, conspiratorial claims, alleging that Aiden is a member of the Freedom Party and just babbling on about American gun laws. Most bizarre, and I believe that Victoria deserves better from our ministers.
If you think it's important to hold those in power to account, like the Minister for Climate Action, make sure to like, comment, but most importantly, share this far and wide, because the mainstream media will never hold these hypocrites accountable. And if you love the fact that we can now pump out this sort of content from our new state-of-the-art studio, please consider chipping in to help us cover the final bills at buildourstudio.com. We are 95% of the way, so with your help, we'll get that last little bit paid for at buildourstudio.com, and I can focus on bringing you the stuff the mainstream media refuses to touch. buildourstudio.com.